Good morning, Year 6. Welcome to another reading video. You're joining me again in Antarctica with my new friends, the penguins, which brings me on to the first thing really that I'd like to say in today's reading lesson. Well done to everybody who managed to see my secret instruction of drawing a penguin, drew their penguin on their work and uploaded it onto Seesaw. Really good job. I'm actually filming this video about 10:30, so I've only got a couple of the penguins that I'm sure I'll see throughout the rest of the day. So if I haven't included your penguin on Seesaw, that's because I've just taken some pictures from nice early on, and I'm sure you were going to do a penguin later for me. Here you can see children who didn't have the ability to draw a penguin because they were doing it on a school laptop or something like that. They didn't know how to draw one, have just showed me they saw the secret instruction and have said they couldn't draw it. But really, really well done to everyone for engaging through this video. I'd like to remind everybody to make sure they're watching the whole of today's video as well. We are going to start by going through our text, but before we go any further, what I'd love for you to do today as a little extra challenge is to film yourself reading the paragraph Killer Instincts. So I've drawn a red box around the paragraph that I'd love you to read. In order to film yourself, all you need to do is go onto Seesaw on the device that you normally use, click the plus symbol and then select the option of filming. If you don't have a camera on the laptop or the device that you're using, another way that you can do this is to film yourself using a phone and then select the upload option. But I'd love to see as many videos as possible of children showing me just this short paragraph, but showing me they're reading aloud, paying attention to the speech punctuation and altering your tone of voice depending on that. We're going to start reading through the text for today, and as we're going through, our main focus is going to be on find and copy questions today. So I have actually included some find and copy questions that we're going to have a go at together as we're going through the video. Okay, starting from the first paragraph then. The icy realms at the very top and bottom of our planet, the Arctic and Antarctica, are two of the coldest, wildest and remotest places on Earth. But for the past 4 years, intrepid scientists, researchers and filmmakers have been braving freezing temperatures to show us what life is like for the animals and people that call these amazing regions home. What do you think the word intrepid might mean? You probably don't know it already, but from the context of the sentence you can work it out. But for the past 4 years, intrepid scientists, researchers and filmmakers have been braving the freezing temperatures to show what life is like for animals. I'd love you to have a go at writing down what you think the word intrepid means on your piece of paper before you do the rest of the questions from today, just to show me that you're thinking actively about the different vocabulary choices and also you're paying attention to the video. Okay, let's keep reading. Presenter and wildlife expert Sir David Attenborough tells NG Kids about the new TV series Frozen Planet and reveals how surviving in these vast wildernesses takes determination, skill and teamwork. The question we're going to model then is a find and copy question. You know straight away when you see the words find and copy, you're not to put it in your own words, you're literally just to copy something from the text. The second clue I need to look at is whether I'm looking for a word or a phrase. Here I'm looking for just one word. Find and copy the word, which shows that Sir David Attenborough is a trusted authority on the subject of life in the Arctic. I'm looking for one word that describes David Attenborough and shows me that he is a trusted authority. Okay, so I'll skip down to the bit that I know about David Attenborough. Presenter and wildlife expert Sir David Attenborough tells NG Kids about the new TV series Frozen Planet. The word that shows he is trusted in an authority on the subject there is expert. He's the expert on the matter, so we believe everything he says. Killer Instincts. This is actually the paragraph that you're going to film yourself reading and upload onto Seesaw. I am going to read it through now, and as I'm reading it through, think about the way that I change my voice and the way that I show the difference between the speech and the parts that are reporting clauses. Killer Instincts. Early polar explorers like Captain Scott, who set off on his fateful expedition to the South Pole 100 years ago, told stories about killer whales trying to knock humans off ice floes by creating massive waves, says David. Our film crew saw firsthand how cleverly these marine mammals put this trick into practice when hunting seals. The team used underwater cameras on poles to film pods of killer whales working together to catch other whales, penguins and seals. They're very intelligent, David tells us, and employ incredible team tactics like blowing bubbles and creating waves to capture their prey. Amazing. As I read that through, hopefully you noticed how I was paying attention to the speech and how when I saw this word with the exclamation mark, I did that. This part here was a bit of a tongue twister for me, actually, so you might want to practice that bit before filming. Poles to film pods of killer whales while working together. Quite hard to say if you're reading out loud and you're trying to make it sound fluent. Then your Did You Know fact. Did you know Captain Scott's 1911 expedition team perished after being beaten to becoming the first to reach the South Pole by Norway's Roald Amundsen? See if you can remember that special fact I told you yesterday about Roald Amundsen. Which famous celebrity was named after him? Okay, let's look at the question then. Find and copy. So again, I know I'm just copying something, and this time it says the phrase. Find and copy the phrase which shows that people have been exploring the South Pole for a long time. A phrase showing it's been happening for a long time. Early polar explorers like Captain Scott, who set off on his fateful expedition to the South Pole 100 years ago. There I go. 100 years ago. That's a long time ago. So I would say set off on his fateful expedition 100 years ago. Stand by me. As temperatures plummet to -40 degrees, male emperor penguins huddle together to protect the eggs they are incubating in their feathery pouch above their feet from the freezing winds. They stand here for over 2 months without food, through the worst of the icy Antarctic winter, while their female mate spends time feeding on fish at sea. Emperor penguins survive in the worst conditions you can imagine, explains David, but they're clever. Like humans, they'll stand near to each other to keep warm, or move behind each other to avoid the wind. Filming these animals was a real challenge for our team, but everyone stuck it out, just like the penguins. The Arctic is at the northernmost region of the Earth. It's made up of the Arctic Ocean, parts of Canada, Finland, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Russia, and the US. What a lot of countries that form part of the Arctic. Antarctica is the Earth's southernmost and 5th largest continent and is surrounded by the Southern Ocean. It's also the planet's driest, coldest and windiest continent. Brrr. Okay, the question. Find and copy, this time just the word, which shows the temperature drops very quickly in Antarctica. I'm not being asked the word that shows it's very cold, I'm being asked the word that shows the drop suddenly. As temperatures plummet to -40 degrees. Plummet is showing that drop there, going down very, very rapidly. Power of the pack. In Canada, wolves work together to hunt one of the Arctic's largest mammals, the bison. With 25 wolves in the pack, the bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. But the cunning canines split the herd and a young bison falls victim to the wolves. The kill will feed the pack for days. What has the author done here to make that noun phrase more interesting? But the cunning canines. Have a little think what the author's done there to make that phrase more interesting. Using high-tech heligimbal. Using high-tech heligimbal camera, the crew filmed an amazing sequence from a helicopter without disturbing the wolves, reveals David. The camera can be used from a very far away and it's also designed not to shake, essential when filming from a helicopter. It gives us a unique peek into the world of the wolves. I think here what we're talking about is the fact that obviously if you're in a helicopter and the propellers are going round and round and round, that creates lots of vibrations. And so they've created a special camera which doesn't vibrate and keeps the footage really, really steady. That must be what a heligimbal camera is. Okay, find and copy the phrase which shows that the bison provides a lot of food for the wolves. I want the phrase to show that the bison is providing a lot of food for the wolves. So I'm going to go to where we were talking about the bison and the wolves, not where we're talking about the helicopter. In Canada, wolves work together to hunt one of the Arctic's largest mammals, the bison. With 25 wolves in the pack, the bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. But the cunning canines split the herd and a young bison falls victim to the wolves. It hasn't yet really explained that it's a lot of food. The kill will here we go. The kill will feed the pack for days. That's the phrase I'm looking for there. Okay. Home sweet home. Antarctica has no permanent human residents, but many people live in the Arctic, mainly in Siberia. Here you'll find one of the coldest cities on Earth, Norilsk, where temperatures can drop to a teeth-chattering -50 degrees. The Arctic tundra, the region's treeless plain, is also home to many indigenous peoples like the reindeer-herding Dolgan, Nenets and Sami. Life here can be tough, but communities work together to hunt and look after their families. If you ask these people if they would prefer to live in the city with all our comforts, they would probably say no, David tells us. They're perfectly adapted to survive here, and after all, it's their home. Okay, so your question for this one, find and copy the word which shows that people are native to the Arctic. Find and copy the word which shows people are native to the Arctic. Have a little look now and see if you can find it. I'm going to go through the question now. Antarctica has no permanent human residents, but many people live in the Arctic, mainly in Siberia. Okay, so I found it about the Arctic. Here you'll find one of the coldest cities on Earth, where temperatures can drop to a teeth-chattering -50. The Arctic tundra is also home to many indigenous peoples like the reindeer-herding Dolgan, Nenets and Sami. The word indigenous tells us that these people are native to the Arctic. They've lived there for thousands of years. They haven't migrated there. Okay. Before you start your independent work, I just want to explain the extension. I do really expect most of you to be doing the extension because I'm aware that sometimes when we're doing our non-fiction questions, it's a lot easier to do it nice and quickly because you can just go straight to the paragraph you're looking for. The extension says, based on what you've read about the Arctic, so based on the information here, think about what you would take if you were to go there. So if you were to go to the Arctic, just like David Attenborough, for example, what items would you pack in order to make it as comfortable as possible? I've done an example here. My one's a bit of a silly one, but you could be much more serious and you could think seriously what you would need in the Arctic. I've written, if I were to go to the Arctic, I would take a thermos flask because I drink a lot of tea. And I was thinking it would take a long time to boil water on a fire to make a cup of tea in the Arctic. There's not going to be a kettle there. So I'd want to make lots of cups of tea at once and keep them hot. So I would take a well-insulated thermos flask with me. That's just one of my items. I'd also obviously take a really thick coat that's filled with feathers because they're really great at insulating. I know that because I'd need that because it's very cold in the Arctic. Okay, so that's your extension. You can be as creative as you like with it. You could even draw diagrams of the items that you would take. You could perhaps draw the bag and you could show the items being packed in. With this extension, really, it's up to you how much effort you put into it. But I do expect everyone to tell me at least 2 items they would take with them. You have got plenty of time to do that, explaining each item as you go. If you'd like to go into more detail and you'd like to really do it as a creative project, I'd love to see that too. Right, I'd like you to have a go at doing your independent questions now, but please remember to come back to the video to mark your work as we're about to go through the answers. You should not still be watching the video if you haven't done your independent work, but we're going to quickly go through the answers now. Look at the introduction. Here's the introduction. Find and copy just one word. So already you know it's wrong if you've written more than one word. Even if you've written the word is, that's more than one word. The word that tells you these polar regions are situated far away from the main centres of population. I'll accept 2 answers here. The best answer was remotest. But if you said wildest, I'll also accept that one. Okay, right, the next one says, look at the section killer instincts. So here we've got killer instincts. Find and copy the word which tells you Scott's expedition had disastrous consequences. And I can see I've actually forgotten to get the actually correct part of killer instincts. I was probably looking for the did you know fact. From my memory, I believe the word is perished, but let's quickly go back and check. Scott's team perished after being beaten to becoming the first to, so the word we're looking for there was perished. Sorry, I don't know why I included the wrong bit there. And then finally, look at power of the pack. Find and copy the word, just one word, that suggests wolves are animals who will employ sly tactics to get what they want. Sly means kind of sneaky, and so we're looking for a word that means kind of sneaky. If you didn't get it before because you weren't sure what sly meant, you can quickly look for it now that I've told you sly means sneaky. Which word describes the wolves as sneaky? However, even if I didn't know that sly meant sneaky, I should have been able to answer this because I'm looking for tricks. Sly is the word that goes here. That tells me it's an adjective, something tricks. I'm looking for an adjective then about the wolves that's something to do with tricks. So I'm looking in this section here about the wolves. In Canada, wolves work together to hunt one of the Arctic's largest mammals, the bison. With 25 wolves in the pack, the bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. Nothing about tricks, that can't be any of those words. But the cunning canines split the herd and a young bison falls victim to the wolves. This bit here is talking about the trick. Canine means wolves, so I'm looking for the word cunning, meaning crafty or sly. Earlier I asked you what the author has done with this noun phrase to make it more interesting. The cunning canines. Well done if you wrote down or were thinking alliteration. Next question then, we're looking at home sweet home. Find and copy this time the phrase that tells you no one lives indefinitely, brackets forever, in Antarctica. It's told us what indefinitely means in order to help us find the answer. So we're looking for a phrase that shows no one lives in Antarctica forever. It's actually the very first phrase. Antarctica has no permanent human residence. Okay? Antarctica has no permanent human residence. The next section, find and copy the phrase that suggests the film crew found the extreme conditions tough while they were working. Something to show that the film crew found it difficult with the extreme weather whilst they were working. As temperatures plummet to -40 degrees, male emperor penguins huddle together. Now this section here I can remember is just about the penguins, so I'll skip back down to here. Emperor penguins survive in the worst conditions you can imagine, explains David, but they're clever. Like humans, they'll stand near to each other to keep warm or move behind each other to avoid the wind. Filming these animals was a real challenge for our team, but everybody stuck it out just like the penguins. The best answer would have been, filming these animals was a real challenge for our team. That answer is showing that it was difficult. You could also have included everyone stuck it out, because if you're sticking something out, that means that you're finding it difficult. However, I do think the best answer is real challenge for our team. Okay, now on to the main questions. According to David, what must you demonstrate to survive in these conditions? David talks in the introduction and later throughout the text that you need patience and you need resolve. Resolve means the same as determination. Look at power of the pack. Find and copy the phrases which suggest that the bison should not wander alone if they want to avoid being eaten. The bison should not wander alone if they want to avoid being eaten. I'm looking for phrases. In Canada, wolves work together to hunt one of the Arctic's largest mammals, the bison. With wolves in the pack, the bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. The bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. Okay. But the cunning canines split the herd and a young bison falls victim to the wolves. They will feed the pack for a day. I suppose cunning canines split the herd could maybe work, but your best answer there was the bison must stick together to avoid becoming prey. And finally, how do the wolves ensure that they catch the bison? What do the wolves do? They split the herd. That's what the wolves do to ensure they catch the bison. They split the herd. That's their clever trick. So the wolves run through the middle of the bison and make them split off. And then often the older ones or maybe the younger ones are the ones that fall behind from the rest of the pack. What similarities does David note between humans and emperor penguins? Please note that this was a 2-mark question, therefore you're looking for 2 answers. If you only wrote down 1 answer, quickly have a look at it now and see if you can find the second answer. Pause the video if you need to find your second answer. Emperor penguins survive in the worst conditions you can imagine, explains David, but they're clever, like humans. They'll stand near to each other to keep warm or move behind one another to avoid the wind. I'll accept 3 different answers here. You could have said they're clever, you could have said they'll stand near to each other to keep warm, and you could have said move behind each other to avoid the wind. Another similarity that you can do here, actually, filming these animals was a real challenge for our team, but everyone stuck it out just like the penguins, is the fact that the film crew are sticking it out. So there's actually 4 possible answers you could have written there. Some of them were more obvious, some of them a little bit more subtle. And then finally, find and copy the phrase that tells us, despite finding it difficult, none of David's team gave up on filming the penguins. That's this final bit here. Filming these animals was a real challenge for our team, but everyone stuck it out just like the penguins. So really the most essential part of that phrase was everybody stuck it out just like the penguins. Oops. Okay, don't forget to go back and upload a video of yourself reading through the extract of the Killer Instincts. If you're not sure exactly how some words are pronounced, just rewatch the video and see how I've pronounced them in my demonstration. Well done to everyone who's been working hard and marking their own work, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks very much. Bye.